time. This is a tile laying and area control game where
Hmm.
you're going to start by populating the board based on however many people are playing in your scenario. You're then going to place down at some point through that process one of your home bases. That's where you're kind of starting and working out from. Then you're going to go through the game over a series of turns, each player taking a tile phase, training phase, movement phase, battle phase, and then a spell phase, playing cards when relevant, according to the little indicator up in the top left corner of your card. Every deck is asymmetric, so you're not quite sure who you're playing, and you should learn this strategy before you go head to head with another player. The game will progress until the 10 personal tiles that you have are all the way down to 0, and at the placement of the last tile in the game, that's going to trigger Endgame, giving the victory to whoever currently has the most rule or control of these village tiles. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate and well put, I must say.
Well, I mean,
Um,
I do this for a living. Today I'm joined with Josh Beck, the designer and creator of Obsidia, which is currently on Kickstarter. We're going to walk through sort of a how to play of the game and also touch on some of the elements you need to know when playing it on Tabletop Simulator, because it is fully up and running. So if you want to check this out on Kickstarter, you can swing into tabletop, see if it's a game that you'd like to add to your collection, and then go support and start shouting about them over there on the Kickstarter page. Um, Josh, well, first off, thank you for joining me. Second,
yeah,
introduce
thank you.
the concept and tell me kind of the groundworks of what this game is.
Yeah, so this is a strategy game called Obsidia. It's for 2 to 4 players. Although I'm about to release a solo mode, so look out for that on the Kickstarter. I'll probably make for everybody. But basically, you are playing as one of 4 different factions. I'm calling them classes here. But you've got the Death Legion, the Veiled Occult, the Light Keepers, and the Warlord. And you're building tiles, building kind of a tile map, and then training traveler workers and dice battling, and there's also spell casting. So
Very
it's
cool.
basically, yeah.
Now, anyone that knows anything about Quackalope will know that the lore is intrinsically important to me. And if you hear dogs in the background there, that's just a feature of the house. That's something we're working through at the moment. We went over it. 3 Great Pyrenees are hard to remain silent. Set me up with what is the lore? What's the scene we're playing in?
Yeah, so Obsidia is a prison realm. It's sort of kind of this in between place where beings are sent for various different reasons. Each faction has their own. The Light Keepers, for instance, they were kind of the keepers of this prison realm. They were sort of in charge of everything, but they kind of they had this sort of they made a mistake, and their elders kind of banished them and to try to figure out, try to sort everything out and get everything back to peace. So they're stuck there trying to accomplish that. You've got the warlords, which are actually humans that were they were part of like an elite faction that kind of went missing through a portal and ended up in Obsidian. You've got the Veiled Occult. They're kind of like the religious fanatics of this realm. Their goal is just to appease the ancient gods, and they're trying to take over and just convert. And then you've got the Death Legion, who are the most ancient beings in this realm, and they wound up here with a mistake, and they basically duplicated themselves, and so there's like this doppelganger, and the doppelganger faction believes that they are in fact the true beings, and so they're trying to fight and rule Obsidia for themselves to get back home.
Very cool. Now, if someone wanted to test out this game on Tabletop Simulator, how would they go about finding it and actually getting into where we are right now?
Yeah, so the first thing you need to do is go into the Steam workshop, assuming you have Tabletop Simulator on Steam already. You can Obsidia, and it should come up, and all you have to do is subscribe to that mod. And then when you get into Tabletop Simulator, it'll be one of your mods that you have access to, and you load it up, and you can just start playing. I have everything pretty much laid out here. you just decide on your number of players and start setting up the game.
Very cool. So from this stage, start walking me through the general setup, and then we'll go through some of the turns. And I've already locked into the veiled occult here.
Yeah, so I see that. I'm gonna stay as just sort of this omnipresent sort of role here, so I can see everyone's hand. But basically, let's say it's a 3-player game. So if you see on the right of the screen, you should be able to under the world building section, the text says 3 players, 10 tiles. So that lets you know right away the 10 world building tiles, which are so this, and then 10 tiles are pulled. I might actually automate this with a script and just sort of let's just say we use these bottom ones. I might automate this so that they just push a button. That would be easier, but for now, just shuffle and then just start placing these terrain. If you zoom in, you can kind of see each terrain tile has a different property on it. And if you actually go to your reference card, which is in front, flip it over, you'll see each property terrain tile type, and you can kind of reference that as you.
Now, how do you go through the process of actually laying out the tiles here in the center? What are you doing? Is it just any random order, or is there a strategy to it?
So any player may begin in the world building phase. This is all still part of the setup, by the way. Mm-hmm. So any player may begin. There's not too much. The strategy comes more in where you place your home colony, which is this in front of you. But the process for this is just, it goes in clockwise order for a number of players, and everyone just draws in places. And you can, the art on the tiles, and it has to match up with the pathways. It is legal to place tiles darkness to darkness like this.
Okay.
But you can't place diagonally floating like that.
Gotcha. Now, could I place something like this where there's a tunnel going into darkness, or is that illegal as well?
That is also illegal.
So if yours was there, though, these could be disconnected.
Those, yeah, they could be like that, but there is a rule right out in the rule book, which I have here as a PDF document in case anyone wants to go through that. But these are town tiles, and towns cannot be adjacent to each other.
Okay.
Because towns are basically the objective of the game. So there's kind of some
another town tile up here as well.
Exactly, yeah. So towns can pathways of 4, pathways of 3, or just the straight path.
Now, as we're setting these out, what is the end objective of the game? What are you trying to do ultimately?
So it is an area control game. So you're trying to control as many towns as possible. And so we're going at a certain point, we're going to be placing our meeples on the board, and we're going to be able to move them. So you're going to want to get your meeples onto towns. I have any battles and spell casting, and at the end of the game, once all of the map is explored and all the tiles have been placed, then the player with the most towns wins the game.
Okay, very cool. So from this point, have I correctly laid out the tiles as a agreeable distribution?
Yes. So this is an agreeable distribution. One thing I didn't mention is at any point during this world building phase, let's just say I'm playing the light. So at any point, we would be able to place our home colonies in lieu of placing one of these. So let's say we still had one left.
Sure.
You could, instead of drawing this, you could place your home colony somewhere, just to add a little bit extra strategy to this process. So yeah, you could kind of, and in your home colony is your starting point, so you get to decide.
Now, what am I thinking through when I place down my home colony? What sort of things should I be looking for?
The biggest thing is town access. You want to be able, and then some of these other terrain properties are hindrances. So I'll just go through what I'm seeing here. So right here we've got a boneyard, which sounds bad, but is actually, if later on in the game, if you have a traveler, yeah, if you have a traveler on the boneyard, you actually get a bonus during battles. And the idea here is that you're building sort of like weapons and armor out of the bone. This is a mystical portal tile. So if you have 2 of those, you can travel from portal to portal. And this is a woods tile. So once a traveler enters a woods, nothing happens when they enter, but when they exit, on the tile depicted here, you can see 3 sets of stones. So you would roll a 1 through 3, and I rolled a 3, so that means I would exit this way because there's 3 stones
Now,
on that side of the tile.
Are you able to exit a location that doesn't have a connecting card?
Yes. So this is actually a new addition to the rulebook. So when a traveler exits up into a what the player will do is immediately draw from their and place, and if it's a successful placement, the traveler will be able to move there. If it's a tile for some reason that can't be placed there, like it had, didn't match up, then the tile is deleted and the traveler is dead and will go back into the reserve.
Okay. Now I see a few other things here that aren't on the board. So we have the home colony, which we've gone over. We have the town, which is what you're trying to capture. Then we also have Blackwater. What is a Blackwater location?
Blackwater is when a traveler enters a Blackwater, they must roll for survival. So they'll roll 2 dice, and then they have to get a 4 or 2 to survive.
So that's going to be one of those locations that's a little bit of a hindrance.
Yeah, exactly.
Over the woods. We also have an ice field here that I see on the board.
Yeah. So let's say you're on this boneyard right here, and you move this direction into the ice field. You're just going to slide right through into the town. So it's kind of an extra movement, but of course you're not able to change direction on the ice, so it can create interesting layouts. Something could be adjacent, but you're not able to get to it.
Yeah, interesting. And then I see a mystical portal.
Yeah, the mystical portal is this one. So in the setup tiles that I deleted, that were, since we only used 10 of the 15, there was another mystical portal in. If there's 2 on the board, you can travel from portal to portal. Okay. And also in our personal stacks, we each have. So at a certain point during the game, there will be more portals on the board.
And then finally, the last thing I see indicated here is going to be the void.
Yeah, and the void is sort of the ultimate, just sort of like a tile. Like if the void is here, you just can't enter, or your travel will die.
Or you can slide directly into it, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and sometimes there's strategy in wanting to kill your own travelers if you need to get them back into your reserve to be deployed elsewhere. So there's reasons to enter the void purposefully, but also with the spell casting, you're going to see some travelers entering voids against their will.
Sure. So during the setup phase, at any point, we could go ahead and place down our home colony in lieu of placing another new tile. After we have populated the board and placed down our sort of starting settlements, what comes next?
Well, one other thing I want to say is that there is a rule that you can't place a home colony next to a town, because that's instantly
cheat. You've never seen my channel before, have you? All right. Fine.
I've seen a few videos. I know your trick. So this would be a legal starting board. It's kind of crazy because there's 2 towns that are kind of out here. Third one that's like hard to get to. You're gonna have to build to it. I'm blocked by a woods, which is absolutely terrible. But for the sake of this game, we'll play this way. But
so what you're saying is we're already starting off teaching people how not to play the game, which is just as effective as teaching them how to play. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you want to use your head and just sort of place with some thought in mind. But we'll just play this way and play together. And then the other thing is that these are double-sided. So let's say I wanted to, for some reason, place here and then potentially build out to these 2 towns. That's
so you can flip the orientation. Now, can you rotate them, or can you only flip them?
Yes, you can rotate anything as long as it fits. You can rotate anything. Like these three-pronged sort of towns can go in any direction. Cool.
Okay, so what comes next from this point?
What comes next is the player who plays their colony second, or last, I guess, if there's more players, will go first. So the actual turns will start. And we're going to probably have dealt ourselves 5 cards. This is your starting hand. So you can go ahead and do that and look at your spell.
Now
Generally,
break
you want to have.
down what I'm seeing on these cards here.
Yeah, so I'm going to come over to your side so I can look.
Don't look at my
So what we're seeing is the name of the spell at the top, and then it's what effect it takes at the bottom, and then you'll also see Roman numerals that are in the left corners there. The Roman numerals designate which phase of your turn that you're allowed to cast the spell in. So also, if you look at this side of your reference, at the side of your screen, you'll see player turns, and then it has phase, movement phase, battle phase, and spell phase. And with each phase, you're allowed to cast the appropriate spell. So you have a homesickness in your hand, which is a tile phase spell. You've got training phase spell. You've got water vortex, another tile phase. Sacred dagger, which is a battle phase spell, and sea serpent, another training phase.
Okay, and then each card will have a description of what it does, and they're all going to be different, so we don't need to go through those specifically. And then down here at the bottom, I see that it says resolve immediately, discard after use.
Most of them will say resolve immediately. Those are spells that you just kind of play, and then the action kind of takes place. Occasionally, you'll have a spell that you play face up because it needs to be out on the board for people to reference, or you resolve it once the dice are rolled, or basically you just look at that to decide what to either. Once you play it, if it's resolved immediately, you're just going to put it in your discard pile like that.
Yeah, sure. So we have 5 cards. That's our starting hand. Any other starting setup we need to do before we get to the gameplay?
Nope, that's pretty much it. Just the world building. Everything is kind of laid out in front of you. So the hand is always 5.
Okay.
And as you kind of play spells, you can play as many spells as allowable. Let's say you're able to play all your spells in your turn. That's fine. In the spell phase, kind of jumping ahead here, but once you get to the spell phase, you'll be able to draw cards to replenish your hand back up to 5.
Sure. All right.
And then so let's just jump into a turn. So I'll take my first thing I would do is tile phase, which is I'm going to draw a new tile from my personal tile, and I got an ice field, so I'll place. And I'm going to look at my hand, and I'm going to look for any phase 1 Roman numeral 1 spells, decide whether or not I want to play any. Right off the bat, I have a will to power. Let's say I play this, which allows me to get the tile of my choice from my stack. So let's say I want.
You clearly want
and actually
this,
but actually this I should have done, like if we're playing by the rules, I should have done this before I drew the ice field. But let's say I played it, I drew the ice field. Just trying to skip ahead here. And that's my tile phase. So then going into my training phase, I'm going to place a traveler on my home colony, which is my starting point. And this is the first turn, so there's not a lot going on here. But I would also want to look at my hand, make sure there's no training phase spells I want to play. Then going into movement phase, space per active traveler. So since I have one traveler out, he's going to go that way, right into the woods. And then there's battle phase would happen next, but there's no battle since you're on the game. And then spell phase, I discard a spell that I don't want to use. So I'll discard Armistice, and I will draw 2 to get my hand back up to 5. And then that's my turn.
Cool. And so then I would go through the same sequence of things, right? It would come over to me.
Yep.
I would have a tile phase where I would first want to look at the cards that I have to see if there's any of these I want to play. And let's see here. I have homesickness. Cast during your tile phase, ignoring pathways and all enemy travelers adjacent to their home colony. Tiles must return home if possible. What does that mean?
That means if you play that right now, which is a good time to play it, my traveler right here is going to have to go back home, because you're basically just like undoing my movement.
Currently next to your home. Okay.
My home, yeah.
So
and if there's multiple players on the board, that you might get multiple people at once, but yeah, you would just play that, and that's resolve immediately. So that one would just
and then
go
I
back
draw
there.
up one tile. I'm going to add that to the board somewhere.
I don't think I shuffled your tile stack because we both got wood.
Bit of an uncomfortable situation here. I've got to build out to these villages, so we'll just assume I place it there. Training phase. You may train one new traveler on your home colony. New home colony travels may move in the next phase. So I'm going to add one to my home right up here. Movement phase. You may move each one of your travelers or group units one space. When leaving a town tile, you may recruit a new solo traveler to stay behind and hold the town.
Yeah, so this is a good time to, let's say we're a little bit further along in the game. Sure. And you had a traveler there, and maybe one here.
I would naturally be about this far in the game.
Yeah, you'd be. I'm stuck. Let's just say I'm like here. You're on a town. I'm not.
Anyone out?
Well, let's just actually say that I'm really like overpowered right now.
Okay.
And then, so you're in your movement phase. So what you're allowed to do is leave this town and recruit from your reserve. Yep. And this is sort of like a town local who's going to watch the town over for you. And they are now part of your colony. So now you just got an extra traveler on the board. And so we're all tied up traveler-wise, and you still get to keep the town, which means you're in the lead.
And it says new town recruits must wait one turn cycle before moving and recruiting. So he can't move off of that or recruit someone.
Right. So you just moved this traveler. Mm-hmm. This one got recruited, so he stays put, and then you're still allowed to move this one. So you could move on to the town as well to kind of back it up. And anytime you move on to the same tile as another traveler, you're in it.
Could I leave the town with multiple meeples on my next turn and recruit multiple more units?
No, you would still always only recruit one unit when you leave the town.
Because I'd be leaving with a group, and that group would recruit one.
Gotcha. Yeah. And anytime...
Yep.
One more thing about the movement is anytime you are moving a group, let's say you wanted to move backwards, and you're of 2, and you got your recruit. It's now formed a group of 3. So this traveler who wasn't part of it would not be able to continue moving on. They are now part of that group.
So I would actually, in the sequence of things, potentially want to move him first and then move the group into that tile.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. If you didn't want the big group, then you would want to move him first and then move the 2 to this tile.
Now I've tricked you into making myself overpowered before we get on to phase 4. Use dice and spellcasting to resolve all pending battles involving your travelers. What is a pending battle? What sets the stage for a pending battle?
Well, in this case, battles. So let me actually just set up the board just so we have more interesting things. Let's say I'm here. Let's do it over by the towns. So let's say you have 2 here. You also have 1 here. And let's say my 2 are over here. So what's going to happen is we need to resolve all same tile battles. So there's going to be multiple battles here. First thing we do is resolve same tile. And we're both on the boneyard. So we both get the 1 bonus, which means... what's going to happen here for battle is we're going to look at our spell hand, see if you have any phase spells in your hand. I do not, so I'm not going to cast anything, so I'm going to defer to you.
I have a Sacred Dagger. Cast on a friendly solo traveler before battle. For an adjacent battle, always roll a 3. For a same tile battle, roll 2 dice and choose the higher outcome.
Yeah, so since you chose to play it now,
I would be on
that
this
means...
guy here.
Yeah, because we have to resolve same tile battles first. So since you chose to play it now, you're going to get 2 dice. Those, I'm going to roll my 1.
Oh,
you got a 2 because that's your higher number.
I historically have terrible dice rolls. Now, luckily, you have worse dice rolls than me, but still.
That is correct. However, you have to remember we're both, which means neither of us can roll 1. So we're both going to re-roll our 1s.
Okay, because we're not able to.
So I actually roll a 3, yeah. So you're going to roll...
Let's figure out how to use Tabletop Simulator.
All right, so we both got a 3. So that is a draw, but you can't draw on the same tile. All same tile battles must be to the death. So now we re-roll everything.
Do I continue rolling my 2?
Yes, you get the 2 for the whole battle.
Okay.
All right, so we drew again because we both have a 2.
Do I re-roll my 1?
Oh, yeah, you do re-roll your 1. So I have a 2.
Well,
okay, well, let's just say you got a 3. It's true when we're both on a boneyard, the battles can be a little longer. But let's say you got a 3 and you
Sure.
killed me here. So you won that battle, but there's still this adjacent battle here that needs to be resolved. So I have 2 travelers to your 1 traveler, but you get the boneyard bonus. And the only difference with when there's an is I just keep rolling until I'm wiped out. So now you're back to 1 since you used this spell. That's resolved. Do you have any other battle spells you want to play?
I don't have any other battle spells, no.
All right. So then now we're both back to rolling 1 die. And what did you get? I can't
I'll take
see.
one of yours out. I got a 3.
You got a 3?
Yep.
All right. So yeah, so 1 is lost. The battle is still going. So you wouldn't be able to play any new battle spells now because we're still in the middle of a battle.
And I die.
And now you die.
Well, no,
so,
I don't get to roll a 1 because I'm on a boneyard.
Oh, you're right.
I still don't die. Tie.
All right. So
we'll
it's a tie. In adjacent battles, you can actually tie. So now the battle would be over. I'm still on the town, and you're still within striking distance. And there may be some like battle spells to be played after a battle, but I don't have any. So that battle phase is over, and then it's your spell phase at this point.
So as far as battle goes, they're always going to be either on the same tile or adjacent tiles?
Yes, that's correct.
Other than spell cards that you can play, are there any other major like full game modifiers to those battles?
The biggest thing would be creatures. So in your spell phase, let's look at your spells right here. You got the Unclad Witch. So let's say you played the Unclad Witch in your not spell phase, in your so you would have been able, yeah. So you can put that witch on a woods or a boneyard. So let's say you put her on this boneyard. She gets the boneyard bonus just because it's written in her card. But so I would have to fight this witch as well. However, creatures are not, they have no allegiance to the class that summoned them. So you would also have to fight this witch since you are. But since it's your battle phase, you choose the order of battles. So you might say, well, I want you to fight the witch first. So I'm going to fight against the witch, and I'm going to die because the witch has the bone. So you killed me, you got me off of town, but now you still have to resolve your battle with that witch.
Are there some creatures out here on the board that there's a reason why I might want to battle them before I have you battle them?
No, creatures are pretty much always hostile. Generally, you want to stay away from them. You probably don't even want to cast them near yourself, but occasionally there's reason.
I could have just stuck that bone witch on the forest right next to your village, and
yep, you could have done that. It would have been a better play.
Would have been fun. So that's the battle phase of the game, and then we have the final phase, the 5th phase, the spell phase. You may choose to discard 1 unused spell per turn. You may also learn new spells by drawing cards from your spell deck. Replenishing your 5 hands signals the end of your turn. So this is just the upkeep. So I can always discard 1 card if I don't want to use any of them in my hand.
Correct.
And then I can replenish up to my hand limit of 5.
Yeah, and there's also some fun spells in the spell. So right here, I just grabbed Thievery. So if you wanted to play that in your spell phase, you would be able to just literally steal a spell from my hand, like blindly. So now, come over to my hand.
Are the decks asymmetric at all, or are we working from kind of the same core systems?
They're completely asymmetric. Yeah, okay. I forgot to mention that. So every class has a unique spell deck of 20 cards. There's no, and there's a lot of crazy fun stuff happening throughout the game. That's where all the like strategy comes in with all the spells. And getting to know each class's like their spell deck kind of improves your skill with this.
Yeah, for sure. Now we'll continue going through these phases. What triggers Endgame?
So we all start out with 10 tiles in our personal tile stack here. So as we play the game, every time someone places a tile, let's say you made this connector, so now you're able to get to this town. You added another boneyard. Let's say you wanted to do a battle, whatever it is. Once you're down to your last tile, and let's say my tiles are already out, your tile turn is going to be the final turn of the game. So you're going to place your final turn. Let's say you got this mystical portal here. And now that you're out of tiles, you go through the rest of your turn. And then after the battle phase, once if you've survived all the battles and you are on more towns than I am, let's say this is the final setup here. So you are on 1, 2 towns. This town is shared, so nobody has claim to it, and I'm on 1 town by myself. So you would win the game.
Now, if this was positioned like this, would I have claim of this town because I had more people here?
Nope, it's still a shared town.
Okay.
And this is actually a very rare scenario because same tile battles must end. Must be to the
you're
death.
Always resolving battles. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to resolve that, but there are a couple spells like I have a spell that's like makes all battle phases or entire turn cycle. So if I had played that like on the final turn, then our battle phases would have gotten skipped, and then we'd still be on the same tile.
So one real quick last sprint through this, because I like kind of running myself through the gauntlet one more time. This is a tile laying and area control game where you're going to start by populating the board based on however many people are playing in your scenario. You're then going to place down at some point through that process one of your home bases. That's where you're kind of starting and working out from. Then you're going to go through the game over a series of turns, each player taking a tile phase, training phase, movement phase, battle phase, and then a spell phase, playing cards when relevant, according to the little indicator up in the top left corner of your card. Every deck is asymmetric, so you're not quite sure who you're playing, and you should learn this strategy before you go head-to-head with another player. The game will progress until the 10 personal tiles that you have are all the way down to 0, and at the placement of the last tile in the game, that's going to trigger Endgame, giving the victory to whoever currently has the most rule or control of these village tiles. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate and well put, I must say.
Well, I mean, I do this for a living.
Yeah. And one last thing that I will say is that I have this officially announced. This is kind of exclusive content, but the solo player mode is coming out very soon, and the way that's going to work is I'm trying to grab these meeples right here. All of the other meeples are going to make up the undead enemy horde, and it's going to be your job to vanquish all of the horde. And so it's you versus everyone else. And there's sort of like a little bit of AI in how they move and what kind of spells they cast. And once you kill a member of the enemy horde, they are dead. They don't go back into reserve. So by the end of your turn, if you've killed off every member of the horde, then you'll win the game as a solo player.
Very cool. Now, I know some people in the Discord community are really excited. They've had a chance to sit down and play it with you. This is the first time I've been able to dig into it. It looks really cool. I'm excited to give it a swing.
Yeah, I've been doing teaching games on your Discord, and
yeah, and hopefully,
amazing, so
hopefully we'll be able to continue those over the course of the Kickstarter campaign and get you across that finish line and hopefully unlock some stretch goals and things along the way.
Yes, definitely. Thanks a lot for.
Yeah, thanks for showing it off to me. And when we have time, let's sit down and actually do a gameplay.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to it.